Sega Saturn, 1994 to 1998. The Sega Saturn is often remembered as one of the most technically ambitious consoles of the 1990s. Specs and features. The Saturn packed dual CPUs and 8 processors overall, which allowed for incredible 2D graphics and experimental 3D effects. It was ahead of its time in terms of processing power, capable of handling complex games that other consoles simply couldn't. It also had a CD-based format, giving developers more space for content and audio. Why it struggled. Saturn's architecture was notoriously difficult to program for. Developers often struggled to optimize games, and many titles released on the PlayStation were either delayed or poorly ported to Saturn. On top of this, Sega rushed the North American launch without a sufficient lineup of games, and marketing was inconsistent. Legacy. Despite commercial failure, the Saturn produced cult classics like Panzer Dragoon, Nights into Dreams, and Virtua Fighter. It proved that technical power alone doesn't guarantee success. Accessibility and timing matter just as much. Many retro enthusiasts still consider the Saturn one of the most underrated consoles ever made. Panasonic 3DO, 1993. The 3DO, interactive multiplayer, is one of the strangest examples of overpowered hardware gone wrong. Specs and features. The 3DO boasted a 32-bit processor, full-motion video support, CD-based games, and high-quality audio that made it feel almost like a gaming PC. It was marketed as a premium console for gamers who wanted the ultimate experience. Why it struggled. The problem wasn't performance, it was price. Launching at $699, the 3DO was far too expensive for most consumers. Game developers also hesitated to invest in a small user base, leading to a limited library of games. Marketing was confusing, and unlike Nintendo or Sega, the 3DO lacked a clear brand identity. Legacy. Though it failed commercially, the 3DO paved the way for CD-based gaming and multimedia consoles. It proved that pushing the limits of power is meaningless if the market isn't ready or willing to pay. Today, it's a collector's dream and a fascinating what-if in console history. Xbox One X, 2017. Microsoft's Xbox One X was a modern example of a console that was too powerful for its own good. Specs and features. With 6 teraflops of GPU power, 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM, and full backward compatibility with thousands of Xbox One titles, the One X was the most powerful console of its generation. It could run native 4K games at 60 frames per second, and its hardware was capable of high-end graphics rivaling gaming PCs. Why it struggled. Timing was a major issue. The Xbox One X launched late in the life cycle of the Xbox One, when many gamers already owned the older console. High-end gamers didn't feel the urgency to upgrade, and casual gamers weren't interested in spending extra money. Additionally, Microsoft's marketing focused more on Xbox Game Pass and the upcoming Series X/S as a legacy. Despite being overlooked by the mainstream, the One X remains a console enthusiast's dream. It proved Microsoft could compete in raw performance and pushed the boundaries for what a home console could do. It also set a new standard that rivals like the PlayStation 4 Pro had to meet. Sega Dreamcast, 1998 to 2001. The Dreamcast was a console ahead of its time, particularly with its online capabilities and unique library of games. Specs and features. Powered by a Hitachi SH4 CPU and PowerVR 2 graphics, the Dreamcast could deliver visuals comparable to the upcoming PlayStation 2. It also included a built-in modem, making online play possible before it became mainstream on consoles. Games like Phantasy Star Online offered experiences that no other console could at the time. Why it struggled. Unfortunately, the Dreamcast launched just before the PlayStation 2, which included a built-in DVD player and massive brand recognition. Consumers flocked to Sony, and many developers shifted focus, leaving the Dreamcast with a shrinking library. Legacy. Despite its short lifespan, the Dreamcast remains beloved. Its ambitious online features, innovative peripherals like the VMU memory card, and creative games like Jet Set Radio influenced the design of future consoles and online ecosystems. Geo AES, 1990 to 2004. The Geo AES is often cited as the ultimate example of a console too powerful for its own audience. Specs and features. Essentially an arcade machine for the home, it could run 2D arcade games at perfect quality, Exactly like the original arcade versions, it handled games like Metal Slug and King of Fighters flawlessly. Why it struggled? Price was a major factor. The console cost thousands of dollars, and each game could cost hundreds. Most gamers simply couldn't afford it. Despite being unmatched in quality, it remained a niche product. Legacy. Geo AES became a collector's item and a symbol of arcade-level home gaming. Its influence is seen in modern retro-style games and high-fidelity emulation. The console's story is a cautionary tale. Perfection can sometimes be a barrier to adoption. Xbox Series X, 2020. Even today, consoles can be too powerful in a different way. The Xbox Series X is Microsoft's current flagship, with specs that may feel overkill for many gamers. Specs and features. With 12 teraflops of GPU power, 16 gigabytes of RAM, ray tracing, and ultra-fast SSD storage, it can handle native 4K at 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second in some games, and provide nearly instant load times. It's designed for longevity, ready to tackle games for years. Why it can be challenging. Not every gamer has a 4K TV or a setup that can fully utilize its power. Many casual players won't notice the difference in frame rates or load times for most games. Its raw potential is sometimes wasted on setups that can't display it. Legacy. The Series X demonstrates that future-proofing a console can be both a strength and a challenge. Its power ensures longevity, but highlights the tension between specs and actual consumer needs. PlayStation 3, 2006. Sony's PlayStation 3 was a technical marvel that initially caused headaches for developers. Specs and features. Featuring the Cell processor, the PS3 was capable of incredible parallel processing. It also introduced the Blu-ray disc as a standard, offering huge storage capacity and multimedia capabilities. Why it struggled. The Cell processor was extremely difficult to develop for. Early games often failed to utilize its full power, which resulted in underwhelming launch titles. Coupled with a high price, it made the PS3 a slower starter in the market. Legacy. Despite its rocky start, the PS3 eventually became a massive success, producing classics like Uncharted and The Last of Us. It demonstrates how overpowered hardware can create short-term challenges but long-term rewards when developers adapt. TurboGrafx-16/PC Engine, 1987 to 1994. The TurboGrafx-16, or PC Engine in Japan, was an underrated console that offered impressive specs for its time. Specs and features. The console featured a 16-bit graphics processor paired with an 8-bit CPU. This combination allowed it to compete with early 16-bit consoles like the Sega Genesis. Its audio capabilities were also superior, giving games a richer sound experience. Why it struggled. Poor marketing and limited distribution in North America meant it never reached a wide audience. Despite having impressive performance, it couldn't compete with Nintendo and Sega's established fanbases. Legacy. The TurboGrafx-16 gained a cult following and inspired later console and handheld designs. Its power and innovation show that technical excellence alone doesn't ensure market success.